Alright, what is up guys? JaretCampisi. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are heading back down to Ducati Santa Barbara to do the first break-in service for our 2020 Ducati Monster 1200. And this is going to be one of the final episodes at Ducati Santa Barbara, because next week we are flying back out to Pennsylvania and moving into our new freaking home, which is very bittersweet. Obviously, I'm sad to leave California, Christina's family, all of our friends here, the Ducati shop, but I'm very, very excited to have our own house, to you know, be able to ride with my dad again, hang out with my family, have Dado back to do the build series. I think it's going to be a really special time on the channel, you know, personally and everything else for our business. So I'm super excited. I hope you guys are too. Don't forget, this is our next giveaway build series bike, so we will be customizing this bike and giving it away when we're done. If you want to help support the project and be entered to win this beautiful Ducati Monster, check out the Patreon page. It's always the first link in the description below. Today, yeah, like I said, we're gonna be doing the first service. I've got 444 miles on it. What's cool about this one is Christina helped me put about 100 miles on this bike. If you saw the last video, she absolutely loved it, and I was blown away by the support of you guys on that video. That was like a super chill, no effort video of us just riding, and you guys absolutely loved it. So it makes me really happy, and we do plan on doing more rides together. I think Christina's gonna get a bike or maybe two in Pennsylvania, and we'll be doing rides with my dad and Dado and Christina, and it's just gonna be a lot of fun. So yeah, that's what's going on. Enjoy the one of the final episodes in Santa Barbara at the Ducati shop with the boys, and we'll see you down there in a second. All right, so we got down to Santa Barbara Ducati, and we're gonna start probably with the oil change. That's what we'll start with. It's important, well, it's good to do that whenever it's warm, because it'll come out of all the crevices and things a little bit easier and faster. We'll take a look at the oil, see how it looks. There's obviously gonna be some shavings and stuff in there, but hopefully it all looks, you can tell a lot about the motor, right, with just how the oil looks. Yeah. And then Corey was just kind of pulling up the checklist. So, but obviously the oil change, the filter is one of the most important parts. We're gonna definitely tension this chain because that is out of control. So probably tension the chain, lube it, all that kind of stuff. And then he just has a bunch of checks to go over, some torque specs and different things and stuff like that. Probably check the brake fluid and all that, and make sure everything's good. But the bike feels pretty broken in. I think we've got, what do we have? I think like 400 some miles on it. Let's see, 449, so 449 miles. Normally the light doesn't come on until 621 miles or 1,000 kilometers. That's when the first service light will come on. It's just a little oil light. So obviously I'll have to get that turned off when we're in Pennsylvania, and we don't have any Ducati shops anywhere near us, so that's going to be interesting. But we'll figure that out when we get to it. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to start with the oil change. All right, he's going to loosen up the drain bolt right here, and then let it drain into this guy, and we'll see what it looks like. Obviously we won't really be able to tell until once it settles in there and everything, but we might be able to see what's on the actual drain bolt itself. There's a magnet on there, so it catches a lot of the shavings, which is on purpose, which keeps it out of the motor. Oh, that's an interesting drain bolt. Damn, so there's not much on there. Yeah, let's take a look here. And I broke this in pretty hard. I wasn't like babying it. I just keep it away from red line when I'm breaking. There you go. So there's not many pieces on there, huh? Yeah. Well, that's good. Corey was saying like these motors are still all hand built, so I mean, you can pretty much beat on these things pretty hard as long as you keep fresh oil in there and stuff like that and keep them serviced properly. These things will take a lot of abuse. All right, what are we doing? So
the break-in test is you want to check all this extras, but it's mainly from the transmission, but you just take a piece of white paper, you rub it on there, and you'll be able to see all the metal, and if it turns into that, it's all good.
Oh wow, you mean like if it just basically disappears?
Yeah, otherwise you'd see big chunks.
Oh, no shit. So that's a good way to test how the break-in's going, how the motor health. Exactly. There you go. So look at that. And like I said, I did not baby this thing at all. I just keep it away from red line, that's it. But other than that, I just ride like normal. And it looks, the oil doesn't even really look that dirty either. Crazy. So that's good news. Look at that. That's awesome, Corey. I never knew that. I love this tool that he has to loosen the oil filter. That's so freaking sick. It's like a socket, right?
Filter wrench, yeah.
Filter wrench. That's crazy. Yeah, I didn't have those when I tried to do a filter change on my GSX-R, and I had to loosen it with my hand. It was so painful.
Force dynamic.
That's really cool. I'm excited whenever I get my garage and everything to get like some badass tools going. I never thought I'd be excited for that, but I am. Eventually, I want to be able to wrench on this shit myself, or at least with the help of someone else, so that I can start doing like some stuff on my own bikes and things like that. We'll see. That'll be the day, huh? All right, so we pulled the oil filter off, and one thing Corey was mentioning is is this a gasket? What is this?
Yeah.
He said you got to make sure that, damn, that's hot. I don't know how you were touching that with your hands. Sometimes people will get stuck on there, and then the same thing will happen even with the crush washer as well. You want to make sure that you make sure the gasket comes off and make sure the crush washer comes off, because if you put a new one on there with a new gasket and a new crush washer, it's gonna leak. So you'll get a slow oil leak. You wanna make sure that those come off. Next thing Corey's doing is cleaning and lubing the chain. So it's crazy how fast they do this stuff. I've done this once again myself, and it took me like an hour and a half to do it. They just make everything look so freaking easy. But one thing I'm gonna tell Corey too is I don't like my chains like heavily greased and lubed. So once he's done doing everything he's doing, we're gonna just like clean as much of the stuff off as possible, because I just don't feel like I need it on there. It just ends up flinging all over the fucking place. So there you go. Look at him go. Look at him go. I mean, this chain was super clean anyway, but still good to do it for the first service, because this is pretty much the time when the chain's gonna loosen the most, right, and all that kind of stuff, and break in the most during.
Bike, so.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why they want you to do it within that first 600 miles. All right, so he's adding oil to the new filter, and what is the purpose for that, Corey?
So this is priming the filter for that first startup with all
when
the
it pulls
fresh
it out
oil.
of there?
Yeah, so when you're fresh with brand new oil and there's no oil in this filter, it has to suck it in.
Oh.
Like you can tell, it's the level of it's getting absorbed.
Okay.
So when you spin the motor for the first time and it loses that gap of oil for a second, it could be scary.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So that's really important then.
So yeah, I do this every time.
Interesting, cool. And then for those who wondering what oil we're using Motul 15W50, and it's 300V. So I don't know what any of that means, but I hear it's good stuff, 100% synthetic. Isn't this what they use in like race bikes and shit?
It's race oil.
Yeah, race oil. So that's what we use, because we race everywhere. All right, so to adjust the chain tension on these, it has an eccentric hub, so you actually have to loosen this here, and then you have to use one of these spanner wrenches. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Look at that, Jaret with the big brain moves. And
custom Ducati one. Though.
Here's the question: which way do you pull down, right? Do you always have to check?
Pull it
towards you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's.
Oh wait.
No, it's the other way. Wow.
E4 is opposite.
Yeah, I feel like some of them are opposite. So I was right, pull down.
Yeah.
To pull back away. Look at that. So do you know roughly what it should be at just by like looking at it?
Yeah.
That was a lot of adjustment.
You can guesstimate, but
yeah. And then obviously you. Yeah.
It's okay. I like to measure precisely.
Yeah, that's smart. Oh, that's cool. So that shows you exactly how much?
Yeah.
So what does that say?
So we're at about 34.
And you go to the middle of the chain?
Yeah, to the middle of this pin.
And how do you know which spot to check it?
I always go right into the middle of the two sprockets.
Okay. Oh, okay, got you. All right. And what does it say that it needs to be? 36 to 38?
Yeah,
so you need to loosen a tiny bit?
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, so he just adjusted it, loosened it a tiny bit. You can see where he's at right there, and it says 36.2. So he's right in the middle of 36 to 38, so he's good to go. So another thing Corey's supposed to check on the first service are these sensors on the rear, well, front and rear, I believe, on the phonic wheel. Is that what that is? Look at that. Exactly. Corey taught me that. And you're supposed to be able to fit, what is that,
0.40 millimeter.
0.40 millimeter, just barely fits. So there's obviously those shims right there that you can adjust, and that's how they have it closer, farther away. If it was me personally, I probably would have taken one more shim out, but whatever Ducati tech did this in Italy likes to live on the edge, so kudos to you, sir. So before we put oil into the system, first thing Corey's doing, well, a couple things. One is completely cleaning off the oil drain plug. Like I said, it's magnetic, so it's gonna hold all of the little materials, shavings and stuff like that. not only on the magnetic part, but then just obviously is there Loctite on these too?
No, it's actually silicone.
Silicone?
Yeah.
And do you add silicone back on there?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Just on the threads.
Just on the threads, okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. Cool, so that's what he's doing right there. Still putting oil into the filter. It just keeps sucking it up. I can't believe how much oil he's poured into this damn thing. But that's what he was saying, it's really important so that you don't get scavenging going on in there. But yeah, just like all these little details or stuff. You think of first service as just an oil change and a filter, but there's all these little tiny details that you don't really see unless you're watching my videos.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're wondering how much silicone he puts on, basically just the top part of the crush washer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that, like he said, that's insurance to make sure he knows that it hasn't been removed and it's completely sealed.
No oil leaks.
Yep. There you go.
Nice.
So ready to go in?
Yep.
So before, when I was mentioning about making sure you remove the old crush washer, that's exactly what he's doing right now. Yep. So those are one use only.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's putting in the new one. And then we'll be ready to add the filter and then add some oil. And then a little final tip from Corey, he said, is grab some of the oil that you put in there and just lube up the gasket there. And then you can put it all in there. Now imagine you hand tighten it first and then use the wrench afterwards. And then after that we can add the oil. All right, ready to add the oil. This should take roughly 3.7-ish. Is that what you said? 3.7 quarts of oil. But basically, or liters, is that what it is? Yeah, okay. You fill it up basically until you start to see it in the sight glass, and then put it basically in between the minimum maximum line, and then do you start up the bike, let it run a little bit, and then it'll probably settle back down, add a little bit more. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. All right, so you can see where the level is now, basically perfectly where it was. And now we'll start it up, let it run. How long do you let it run? 30 seconds?
Couple seconds.
Okay. Yeah, see it immediately sinks down. Look at that. So that's enough right there?
Yep.
Wow, and now you can add just a little bit more?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Once it comes down a little bit.
And then if you guys saw that little part on the top where it was like different colored oil, that was the old oil that Corey said sits right in here. It just doesn't drain out. Obviously there's certain parts of the motor that aren't gonna drain out, so it's always gonna mix back in there, but you'll see it'll be gone once we fill it back up again. Okay, so as you can see, it's a little bit low right now, so he's just gonna add a little bit more in there, and as soon as it hits the correct spot, then we'll be good to go. And then we shouldn't need to add any more, right? Yeah, perfect. And nice. And I think we might set up the suspension on these as well, because Preston was talking about how they're set up to ship so they don't fuck with the fork seals. And I was mentioning about how the bike felt, and he said it's probably because the suspension needs set up. So what I'll do is just set it up for me. I'm about 180 pounds. But once you guys get whoever the new owners are of these bikes, you should get them set up for your height, weight, everything else as well. So final things to do with the first service is basically checking controls, checking fluid levels for the brake and clutch fluids. Just making sure everything works properly. Obviously he has torque specs that he had to go over and check on the bike as well. You know, checking things like turn signals, brake lights, he'll check brake pads, stuff like that. And then normally we would plug it in, like the final thing he would do would be plug it into the DDS system and reset the first service light, check all, see what kind of codes are on it, anything is bad, or if there's codes, reset them, things like that, or check it if there's codes that need to be checked, right? Updates, yeah, things like that. Sometimes there'll be fuel mapping updates, things like that. But since we can't do that, there's no point to do it right now. We'll wait until the light comes on. So at this point, I think what we're gonna do is actually set up the suspension for me. So we'll pull the bike off of here. I'm gonna sit on it. We'll grab Preston, and he'll do the talking, and then Corey will do some adjustments for us. So when it comes to adjusting the rear suspension, he was saying this one right here is the lock nut, the lower one down here, and then the one that's closer obviously is the one that's going to actually make adjustment. So if we're going to be probably loosening this, right?
Yeah.
Like I sat on this bike and it like barely moves anywhere at all. It's super stiff right now. So I think probably if we make an adjustment about half as tight as it is now, if I had to guess, and then obviously I'll sit back on the bike and stuff like that. It's too hard to show because I can't film and do it at the same time. So I'm just gonna kind of explain what we're doing, show a little bit of it, and then I'll kind of do the overview at the end. All right, so we made a bunch of adjustments. Basically the bike was almost as stiff as it possibly could be, which is exactly what Preston said, how they ship the bikes so that they don't hurt fork seals and stuff like that. I don't know really what to feel when I'm riding, so Preston used to be a racer and all that, so he's gonna take it for a quick rip. and see how it feels. But that might actually explain why I was having issues with the front end and all that. So this will be interesting. I'll definitely take it for a ride after he's done too, once we feel like we have it dialed in. All right, Teener Wieners showed up. Does it sit a little bit lower for you? I realized it was probably super stiff for you when you were riding it. Yeah, we dialed it back a little bit. So I'm gonna take it for a spin real quick and see how it feels. You miss it? Yeah. We'll get you a bike once we get back to PA.
Watching our video on those back roads,
yeah.
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful. We have good roads in PA too, you know?
Actually, I'm nervous, but I'm excited.
Yeah. All right, let me quick do a little test ride on this. Preston said it felt a lot better. It was a little soft, he said, on the front, so now we dialed it back up a little bit. So now I'll see how it feels. All right, I'll see you guys in a minute. All right. Yeah, maybe that was what the problem was, why I didn't like the front end. I did get a couple of comments from you guys, I think, on the video saying that I needed to dial in the suspension. So that's probably what it was. I want to see how it feels under braking now. Okay, still doesn't feel too soft. Like I said, I've never set up suspension before, so I always ride to however the bike feels. And Preston was saying like you should make the bike suit your riding style, not the other way around. But it's just something I'm always hopping on different bikes so much, like on and off bikes, that I just adapt to however it feels, and I don't even really think about the fact that I can change it, you know. But let's see. I want to see. Yeah, I mean, I have no fucking idea. Excuse me. Jesus Christ. Alright, so this is where we want to see how it feels. I mean, I don't fucking know. I mean, I guess it feels better. It does feel maybe a little bit soft, but I'm not positive. So it definitely, it puts the power down a lot better. It's not wheeling as much. There's some room for the suspension to kind of move, the wheels to move. I mean, honestly, I have no fucking idea. It doesn't feel like it wants to wheelie as much. The front end does feel a little more stable, I guess. But I have no idea. I'll probably just tell Preston to ride it. Corey did say there's actual settings from Ducati that's based on your height and weight. You do it so many clicks, so that's always an option as well. What I think I'll probably do is just leave it here for now, and then I might try the settings from Ducati and in the next video and see how that feels. But for now, I think this feels I think it feels pretty good. All right, so after talking to Preston and Corey, I think we are gonna tighten up the front suspension just a tiny bit and pull out just a little bit of rebound. And then for me, my riding style, my body weight, I think it'll be perfect. Obviously, whoever the new owner is, you'll wanna do this yourself. But yeah, I think that's it. So that's the first service on the 2020 Ducati Monster here at Ducati Santa Barbara. We're gonna have one more video with Corey, and then that will be pretty much the last of the Ducati crew, at least for now. Obviously, we'll be back out to visit and everything like that. But don't forget, if you guys want to help support these projects, be entered to win this motorcycle. Patreon.com/Campisi Customs. Always the first link in the description below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more, and we'll see you in the next one.